You know, a lot of times I get asked the question, Nick, since you know so much, since you do this research, you do all of this, and you say things about WWE, why don't you do better? Well, today I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to tell you, based on the feuds that we have and the way that the product is going, I'm going to book SummerSlam 2020 exactly by myself. And before I go any further, there's actually news here that WWE's looking to have SummerSlam outside of Florida with fans in attendance. That's a big no-no. But not only that, I also heard rumors of SummerSlam actually potentially being on a large boat or the beach. Now, to be honest with you, that sounds really cool. Anyways, this video is going to be me building the SummerSlam card based on the feuds that we have currently going on, and I'm going to go over exactly the feuds that have been going on. Right here, this is your SummerSlam 2020 build, Nick's World Edition. Hit the like button, subscribe, go nowhere else. And gentlemen, always, I will get the question, you see all this, they should do this, they should do that, but can you do better? I most certainly can do better, and you know what? You don't study, you don't put your knowledge, you don't watch a product for 15 years. If you've been watching wrestling for at least 10 years, at this point you pretty much know the product is boring. And what bothers us most about the product is that the potential is higher than it's ever been, but the reality is lower than it's ever been. WWE SummerSlam. Now, reportedly, there was months ago, Vince McMahon said that there will be no SummerSlam without fans. And Vince McMahon will do everything inside and outside of his power to make sure that there are fans at SummerSlam. Now, some of this is from Wrestling News Co. And I can be honest with you, the idea of SummerSlam on a large boat, well, Vince McMahon can easily summon to his existence. Or the beach sounds really cool. I don't think the whole show should be on the beach. Some of them are saying the show outside. Well, how about this? Orlando, Florida, outdoors in the middle of August is a recipe for heat exhaustion. But then again, these are professional athletes. WWE is looking into running SummerSlam outside of Florida with fans in attendance. First off, Florida is one of the big no-no-nos for social gatherings right now. Yes, it's outside, but I don't think WWE is going to have the ability of doing that. What does the pandemic look like a little under a month from now? We don't know. But I don't think they're going to have the luxury of doing that. Now, there are some matches for SummerSlam that are already scheduled. Some of them are exactly as they should be. I'm going to talk to you basically today just about the matches and just what I think should happen. Now, one of the first places we'll start is a match that I was very confident in, and that was the Intercontinental Championship. Matt Riddle has mid-card title written all over him, at least right now. Now, for some reason, we've had Matt Riddle be somersaulted and fought AJ Styles already. What should have actually happened was, after that debut against AJ Styles, he shouldn't have touched him, he shouldn't have been anywhere near him. The fact that they had Matt Riddle go over AJ Styles in his debut was actually pretty surprising to me. Not because Matt Riddle doesn't have the talent to do so, but because we know how the trend goes with wrestlers that get called up. Usually they're unimportant in a month. But Matt Riddle has maintained his relevance somewhat, at least for the last month or so he's been on the main roster. The Intercontinental Championship. You could do Matt Riddle versus AJ Styles, but why not do one better? Why not have Matt Riddle versus AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan for the Intercontinental Championship? That way, if they don't want to have AJ Styles eat the pin again, they could have Matt Riddle. Well, without hesitation, Matt Riddle would win the title at SummerSlam, if you ask me. It would be Matt Riddle pinning Daniel Bryan to win the Intercontinental Championship. For some reason, SummerSlam and WrestleMania, WWE likes to throw 45,000 different triple threat matches, so everyone's got to get on the show. I would personally have that match, and I would have Matt Riddle win the title. He doesn't have to pin AJ Styles. That's what I would do, because Matt Riddle rubs off. We all know the talent of Matt Riddle already, but some of you who do not have seen it over the last couple of months. If you come up and your first match on the main roster is pinning AJ Styles, that's WWE's way of saying of this guy is legit. That would be the way I would do it. But instead, what will WWE do? They will do Matt Riddle versus Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin is a professional sleep aid for a lot of us. He's not bad at what he does. He just is not exciting to me. That's how I would do that. The United States Championship's a little bit different. As of right now, MVP is the United States Champion. He's really not, though. Apollo Crews never lost that title. Now, what happens is I originally thought that Apollo Crews was going to have a nice run with the United States Championship, and Kevin Owens, who's been mixed around in the mid-card there, would take the title from him. What my original plan would have been would be have Kevin Owens versus Apollo Crews. Have a great match, but Kevin Owens would certainly win the United States Championship. against Apollo Crews. I think Kevin Owens can definitely benefit from a title, but obviously Kevin Owens, the second that COVID test started coming up positive in WWE, he said, have a nice day, I'm out. And I don't blame him for that. I don't blame him for that. You know, some guys left right in the beginning and jumped ship. Roman Reigns said, you know, and I understand Roman Reigns' situation. He's got prior health conditions. He has a daughter. I don't know how old she is. But you understand that, okay? I would have had Kevin Owens versus Apollo Crews. Now, what happens now? Hopefully, we don't get something lame, such as MVP versus Apollo Crews. But I wouldn't be surprised to see WWE do that. The mid-card titles have a chance. You know, they're on Apollo Crews right now. And the Intercontinental Championship, as far as I'm concerned, is on Apollo Crews, not MVP. Thank you very much. I would have that match, and Kevin Owens would certainly win that championship. Or, if they wanted to go the route of MVP costing, but the United States Championship, you know, is not... It's important right now, but it just feels like I don't really know what their plans are going into SummerSlam. I really don't. The Raw Tag Team Championship match is already set. I like this, but I don't like it. The reason I like it is because I know we're getting new champions. Now, it's not because the Street Profits are not good as tag team champions. It is more of the likes of there has been no Raw tag team division for the last 6 to 7 months. Alexander and Ricochet are great, but you know, they've just been existing in the tag team division. Literally, there has been the Viking Raiders and Street Profits going one-on-one. We had the corny contest, which honestly I couldn't care about. It was funny at first, and then I was like, okay. We had WrestleMania, then we had, was it Money in the Bank or was it Extreme Rules? It was Money in the Bank, where they had the little thing with, you know what? Listen, Street Profits are funny, they're great, so are the Viking Raiders, but in order to have tag team championships, you have to have a division first, and not saying that the Raw tag team division is anywhere where it needs to be, because it's certainly not. But Andrade and Angel Garza, from what we're told, Vince McMahon is very high on both of them, and as rightfully so. They're both great talents, and it will now be Andrade and Angel Garza versus, the Street Profits for the Raw Tag Team Championships, and again, this will be another title changing hands. There's going to be a lot of titles changing hands at SummerSlam, if you want my honest opinion about it. That's what I personally think. Now, Andrade and Angel Garza are a good team. They're definitely going to take these titles off the Street Profits. I would have honestly rather have seen the Street Profits versus Cedric and Ricochet. To be honest with you, what I would have liked to have seen the most would have been Andrade and Angel Garza versus Cedric and Ricochet. I'm happy that as of right now, they didn't do a tag team versus tag team versus tag team versus tag team, because for some reason WWE likes to do that, where they shove 85 tag teams into a match and just call it a cluster. But Andrade and Angel should win those championships. The Raw Women's Championship is the tricky one. Now, I feel like Sasha winning that title was not necessary. I think we all kind of thought that. Me personally, I don't really see the need for Sasha to have the title. I don't think she's going to have the Raw Women's title for much longer. Because first off, she didn't really win it legitly. Stephanie McMahon made mention of that. Here's the thing. The idea was, for this SummerSlam, what was planned, which will now not happen, was to have Sasha and Bayley feud, which was inevitable. They've been great as a tag team. They started off, you know, and listen, don't even get me started about the Women's Tag Team Championships, because even Sasha and Bayley don't make them feel important, and I hate to say that. I really, honestly, the Women's Tag Team Championships, there are so many different routes. Maybe SummerSlam is the show they use to build that Sasha and Bayley feud. Maybe that's one of the things they like to do. Maybe they have them cost the tag team titles. Maybe Sasha cost Bayley the SmackDown Women's title. Maybe Bayley cost Sasha. Well, obviously it would be Sasha turning. But Sasha, regardless of heel or face, if she had gone into Boston for what was supposed to be SummerSlam, she was going to be the favorite, because we all want to see Sasha have a run that she has deserved. It was supposed to be Sasha versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title. That is not happening. That is not happening. Instead, we're probably going to get Sasha versus Asuka. Again, third time, by the way. Why does Sasha even have this? I get we're trying to build Sasha and Bayley as this great team, and they are great. I'm not taking that away from them. But what I'm saying is, Sasha doesn't need the Raw Women's Championship, because she's going to lose it if she even has it up until SummerSlam, which a lot of people are thinking. Sasha and Asuka would be the go-to here. Could Shayna Baszler get into the mix that quickly? Maybe. I don't think so. We already know how Vince McMahon feels about Shayna Baszler. He's made that known. That'll be another one. Sasha Banks will probably not have the title. I don't even, you know what? I just don't even know. Women's Tag Team Championships. Why? Why? It's like they had so much potential, and I don't understand it. I really don't. The SmackDown Women's Championship is a bit of an easier decision for me, because all I needed to see was Naomi the last week on SmackDown saying, it's my time now. She doesn't have to win. Have Bayley versus Naomi for the SmackDown Women's title at SummerSlam, please. You know what would be even better? Build that feud and have Sasha cause Bayley and Naomi win the title. Naomi's long overdue. I mean, let's be honest here. Like, how, you know what I mean? Like, she's been, how good is she? She's that good. She's athletic. She's good. She can talk. Naomi should have, before she got injured after winning her title the first time in her hometown, Naomi would be the perfect person for SummerSlam. Does she beat Bayley? I really don't know. Me personally, honestly, every championship I'm going over right now is changing hands at SummerSlam, because that's just how I feel. I would have Bayley versus Naomi for the women's title. Who wins? I don't know if I can make that decision. It all depends on how Sasha Bayley goes. SummerSlam could be a big show for both of them, because they would be in combined 3 matches together. Bayley versus Naomi would be good. The Raw Women's title is trickier. I'm sure that's Sasha and Asuka. I don't really know who else would be in the Raw Women's title feud. The SmackDown, or excuse me, the Women's Tag titles is another one. Are they even going to get defended? I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be shocked to see them not get defended at SummerSlam and see them get defended on Raw the next night. Personally, that's what I believe. What other titles do we got? Now, I know there will be matches that are non-title, but I'm just going over the title matches in this video. The next one, let's see, we did the Raw Women, SmackDown Women, Women's Tag, which I don't even think will be defended. Here's another match, non-title. Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins should have saved their match for SummerSlam, but for some reason, they did not. And they had the eye for an eye match, which was okay. We are now looking at what is rumored to be a mixed tag match. Or excuse me, a mixed tag match. Somebody get my brain out of the gutter. We are now looking at what is going to be potentially Seth and Buddy versus Rey and his son, Dominic. Which is not a bad idea, but I don't need to see it at the second biggest show of the year. What should have happened was you had that match at Extreme Rules. Have a tornado tag match where anything goes. And then at SummerSlam, you have Seth versus Rey in an Extreme Rules. You do realize you can have an Extreme Rules match when it's not Extreme Rules. Anything goes, no holds barred at SummerSlam. Here we are, right? Here we are. They could have what I think the number one idea for me, in my personal opinion, would have been Seth versus Dominic at Extreme Rules, and Seth beat the living hell out of Dominic, which would infuriate Rey and draw them towards a no-holds-barred match at SummerSlam. But instead, that's what I think is going to happen. A tag team match. Congratulations. Probably be a good match, but congratulations. It gives Dominic some actual in-ring experience without having to actually carry a singles match. Does it happen at SummerSlam? Well, if Dominic botches or he doesn't perform too well, I'm sure we'll hear about it afterwards. Next up would be, I was thinking of another non-title match. Forget it. Universal Championship. This one was written long before anything I'm going to say. It's easily Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman. It's The Fiend. The Fiend rose out of the water after Extreme Rules, and he showed what is coming. That match was a no contest. This will be for the Universal Championship, and Bray Wyatt, does he squash Braun Strowman? I don't think he should. But Bray Wyatt will win the Universal Championship as The Fiend. It would blow my mind if anybody other than The Fiend came out at SummerSlam. It's literally written right in front of you. They've already begun writing the process of The Fiend coming out and beating Bray Wyatt. That is excuse me, what is wrong with me? The Fiend coming out and beating Braun Strowman, that is another title change. And the main event, which people even jumped the gun on this main event right after WrestleMania. Drew McIntyre's title reign, well, let's just go over this. Drew McIntyre won the WWE Championship at WrestleMania in front of no crowd. Obviously, it was a great moment, but it should have been so much greater, but it wasn't in front of a crowd. He did that, went on to have the best defenses that he pretty much could. A nice small feud with Seth Rollins, some good matches. A good match against Dolph Ziggler at Extreme Rules. You know, for what it's worth, Drew McIntyre has had what has felt like an important WWE Championship reign. And a lot of people, myself included, are not ready for it to end. But standing across from Drew McIntyre is the MVP of all of WWE in 2020. You can say what you want about Seth Rollins. You can say what you want about Sasha and Bayley. A lot of people say Drew McIntyre. The second the feud began for Randy Orton and Edge at WrestleMania, Randy Orton hit the switch and generated himself to a level that where you got Randy Orton up top and everybody else is below him. I would be absolutely mind blown if Randy Orton did not walk out of SummerSlam with the WWE Championship. It is one of those things where it's the right match, the right guys, and it's at the wrong time. It's at the wrong time because it comes to what a lot of people are saying is too soon into Drew McIntyre's title reign. A lot of people are saying, can Drew have the title till next WrestleMania? I don't know about that. But I do think that Drew McIntyre, my friend brought this up, deserved his moment in front of the fans. And unfortunately, he's not going to get that. Because there is absolutely nothing in the world that is stopping Randy Orton right now. Again, he is on a level that nobody else is on right now. At least in WWE. He is doing the best work of his career since 2009. And that's legend killer Randy Orton. Randy Orton is on a platform, and then everybody else is here. Randy Orton doesn't need the title, but he would look really good with it. And to be honest with you, it bothers me because I'm not done seeing Drew McIntyre as the champion. But man, Randy Orton is just a beast this whole year, and I think that Vince and everybody just wants to reward him for the work he's done this year. It just sucks because it's at a wrong time, and it doesn't feel like it should happen. Now, I think that nobody's debating what's going to happen. Randy Orton's winning the title. I'm sorry, and if you're a Drew McIntyre stan, I apologize. Drew McIntyre is great. You know, Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre will probably have a very great match, and that's all that's important. What happens after that is my question. Does Drew get a rematch? I just want to know. That's my thing. Randy Orton wins, and then what? Does he feud with Drew for a little while, and then what happens after that? You know what I mean? There's just Randy Orton and Drew rub off as main event champions, but I don't think there's anybody else right now that really rubs off that way. Outside of Seth Rollins, I don't know. There aren't too many guys on the Raw side of things that rub off to me as give me a shot against Randy Orton. Because both of them are just, you know, even Seth Rollins has been doing great this year. But it's Randy Orton, Drew right below him, and then everybody else. I don't really know what happens. Well, I know Randy Orton wins. I tell you that. And you know what? There could be a slim chance Drew wins, but I just can't see it. Randy Orton just shouldn't be losing any matches now. When Randy Orton wins that title, the rest of 2020 is written. I would love to see some people's previews as to what happens after Randy Orton wins. But Randy Orton wins that WWE title. Again, that's not the full SummerSlam card. That's just how I would book it. Again, who am I, right? But I appreciate everybody watching as always. This was your SummerSlam preview. We're going to kick it into NFL previews coming soon. August 1st is fastly approaching. Kairi Sane also was written off of Raw, and she's going back to Japan. Good for her, because WWE didn't really use too much of what Kairi Sane's potential was. Stay safe.